Guyana has created the ideal conditions for the sustainable exploitation of its forest resources. A number of agencies work together with the Guyana Forestry Commission to support and promote growth and development of the sector. This week on Dorado Shines, you will learn more about the agencies that operate in the forestry sector and how they work closely with all stakeholders to further expand investment and economic activities in keeping with the country's low-carbon objectives. The Forest Products Development and Marketing Council, FPDMC, is a new agency that seeks to promote and enhance the sustainable growth and competitiveness of the forest products industry through targeted industry development initiatives. These include the provision of support in product development and innovation, technological modernization, market research and promotion, information sharing and networking, and relevant training.
The council was established about 5 years ago by the government after consultation with the private sector, essentially the stakeholders in the forest industry. It was determined at that time that a body needs to be in place which would help to promote the expansion of the timber industry. And after in-depth consultations that involve all stakeholders, the FPDMC was born, so to speak, with a mandate that had a three-pronged approach to the industry.
The council, which comprises of representatives from the private sector, the Forest Products Association, representatives from other private sector associations like the GMIC, there's also a representative representing the Amerindians on the council. And then there are other industry representatives from the Ministry of Natural Resources and from the Guyana Forestry Commission. Essentially, the board has been going through the process of reinvigorating the members of the board, really represent a good cross-section. We have very senior executives from the private sector on the board, and they attend all the meetings, very valuable input into our work.
The Guyana Forestry Commission maintains that there is no circumventing of Guyana's logging laws by Baishan Lin or any other forestry-based company. The Commission has very robust and functional systems, procedures and guidelines which all forest sector companies are audited against. Appropriate action is taken for any breaches. Squatting on state lands is illegal. Sections 35 and 36 of the State Lands Act provide the power to arrest or to summon anyone willfully trespassing on or unlawfully occupying state lands. The Council seeks to promote the sustainability of Guyana's forest products industry through improved capability, enhanced market access, and increased trade opportunities. Much focus is also being placed on the promotion of lesser-known species of timber.
In Guyana, you will have more than 1,000 species, different species of timber, but only a handful is used and well known. So part of our mandate is to promote the other species, and we have selected or targeted another 25 of those lesser used species, which we are working on in terms of increasing the awareness of these species among users of timber.
We have a wide array of species, and I think this by itself presents a wide range of opportunities yet to be explored. Several manufacturers in the wood industry have managed to commercialize certain species for furniture, for cabinetry, for doors, windows, and other internal applications that actually enhance this product we call wood. I think that given the fact that we have not only a diversity of species, but also a wide array of mechanical properties and usability, it there again gives you more opportunities to explore.
Work is also being done to improve the quality and quantity of processed forest products, both for the local market and for exports.
FPDMC is also mandated to encourage stakeholders to get more involved in value-added production. There are many constraints that producers face when you're taking it down to value-added. If I may touch on just one or two of those, the high cost of electricity, that is a disincentive for producers to get involved in value-adding. Other countries where the electricity costs or power generation costs is much lower, you would find them moving in that direction in a more rapid fashion. Another factor that inhibits the movement into value-added production is the high cost of capital. Banks, for some reason, are not too inclined to get involved in the timber industry. It's a risky operation, and the cost of capital for the industry could be pretty expensive. And that is why recently you've been seeing a sort of alliance between the local and foreign timber operators, where some joint venture operations have been formed. And that's one of the reasons why you have these joint ventures taking place. These local stakeholders would like to have access to a cheaper form of capital.
While we have a far way to go, we have been able to tap into the value-added benefits from the timber that we produce. You would recognize that over the years we have managed to market in excess of 50 species in log form. And I know there's always this concern that we're probably exporting more of the raw material, which is logs, than actually added value. We must first understand that wood is not a very straightforward product. For example, it's not like PVC or cement or steel, where the predictability and you can manage the properties is a bit different. Customers have different preferences, color, texture, the general grain pattern, weight. All these things play a role in determining what sort of value-added applications you can use the wood for.
In addition to the cost of electricity, the cost of shipping is also another major challenge to exporters.
There's also the issue of shipping. There's a concern here. You may not be aware, but it with containerized shipping is not as easy as we would like it to be. Shipping costs in this part of the world is fairly expensive. Shipping to the Caribbean countries in some regards, such as Jamaica, Haiti, and even Venezuela, can prove to be far more expensive than shipping to China or India. You may wonder how that works, but it all deals with traffic.
The Guyana Forestry Commission has very effective export procedures in place. All forest produce to be exported must be verified by a GFC grading inspector, and the required documentation must be properly completed and verified prior to export. Squatting on state and government lands is illegal. There is a significant increase in squatting on these lands on the Soosdijk-Linden Highway, Port Kaituma, and elsewhere. Some of the squatting have taken place on lands already leased for industrial, commercial, and residential land uses, and on reserves which constrain development of some areas and delay processing of land applications. Like many other sectors in Guyana, the availability of skilled labor also poses a challenge.
Skilled labor, which of course is something we're trying to address in partnership with the government, through the training school, through the FPDMC, even with the GFC. There's a shortage of skilled labor. There is no research and development being done in Guyana also to help guide and kind of promote some of the various species. We have been seeking strategic alliances with certain countries such as India to see how they can assist us in developing the skill set and also some research and development, but we are still at the negotiation stage.
Finding a market for wood products can often be a challenge to operators in the sector. The Council plays a role in this regard by helping to link buyers with operators.
We are mandated to assist stakeholders to find markets for their products. And we employ various means in trying to assist in that regard. We have acquired a database.
So what is the process used for linking producers to buyers?
If we receive information from abroad that there is a possible market, say in Trinidad, an entity in Trinidad will contact us asking us to put them on to a local producer. We would, based on our database that we have, we will look up and see which one of the local producers, or we will make contact with a number of local producers and informing them that there's a possible market in Trinidad, and we send all the coordinates of the inquirer to the local producers saying, look, this entity is looking for X, Y, or Z in terms of timber. Please make contact with them and see if you can satisfy their needs.
Bai Shen Lin and its JV partners have exported a total of 375 containers for the period January-June 2014. This is not confined to this company, since many other large companies are also exporting logs in such quantities, in keeping with the national log export policy. Squatting on state and government lands has been facilitated by persons illegally selling lands in various areas. Squatters pay money without receiving titles or agreement for the lands. The Guyana Lands and Surveys Commission has been directed to deal with squatting on public lands under its jurisdiction at the national and community levels. Foreign companies operating in the sector often provide and open up unique opportunities that ultimately benefit local operators.
They are located overseas. They have direct contact with the customer base in those countries, and they know where to go and market what species. Hats off to those foreign entities that are here with regards to assisting us in finding markets for our products.
With the many challenges that exist when it comes to attracting foreign direct investment in the forestry sector, what impact a tax on companies operating in Guyana can have on investor confidence?
It can have a serious impact, because it is not easy to attract capital from abroad. There are other countries that line up to get the same capital that might be the entrepreneur might want to bring to Guyana. There are many other countries that would like to have access to that same amount of capital. So if an investor, when he's scouting around, he wants a stable environment. When we see what's going on in the newspapers and to some extent on television about the working, about the actions of certain foreign players in the society, it's worrying because those people, they invested in Guyana, they made promises, and they are in the process of delivering on their promises. So to come out and say that they're not doing this and they're not doing that without being fully informed of what was negotiated, it is doing bad for the industry and the country.
The Environmental Protection Agency and the Guyana Forestry Commission categorically state that Bai Shan Ling Incorporated and affiliated companies do not have access to 960,000 hectares of land. Rather, their legal access is to approximately 632,072 hectares.
As every other income earner, persons engaged in gold and diamond mining must honor their tax obligations. Miners who employ operators, cooks, divers, and other tributers, as they are commonly known, are required to deduct 10% of the 30% income tax from the earnings of tributers and remit same to the GRA. Tributors are required to pay the 20% balance of taxes to the GRA on or before April 30 of each year where applicable. For more information, call 227-6060 extensions 1200 to 1204.
Working closely with producers and other operators in the industry is the Forest Products Association of Guyana.
Forest Products Association is a non-governmental organization that really represents the interests of the forest operators in Guyana. It's a very old organization. It started way back in 1944. And it's like with every organization have its ups and downs. But our primary purpose is to lobby basically government and government institutions and how we see, how the private sector see the forest operatorship work.
The association works closely with other private sector agencies and policy makers and provides representation for producers, which impacts all operators in the industry.
FPA is a membership organization, and we encourage everybody to join the FPA because our representation doesn't stop at any particular point. If people who are not members, they come to us with issues, we represent those issues. But we also not represent issues because they are issues. We advise operators the rights and wrongs. The rules is there, they have to follow the rules. If they break the rules, we know there are challenges that they will face. And they have to pay compensation and fines and so on. Like anything, if you drive a motor car on the road, you break the light, that's it. So we advise people to do the right things. What we do in terms of lobby, for instance, when the GF school practice for harvesting have a 10-meter rule, we lobby based on members' complaint that it's not economically sound to leave back a lot of timber in the forest. So we lobby government and the GFC, and we had successful representation. It was reduced to 8 meters, and subsequently we are having a little different arrangement where we can even put trees in proximity once they are a certain diameter size. So basically that goes for members and non-members, so you go wide across the sector.
Guyana is making more lands and resources available for mineral production and investments in the natural resources sector. These initiatives are being pursued in keeping with the country's commitment to protect the environment.
The Guyana Forestry Commission is a semi-autonomous government agency with the mandate to ensure sustainable harvesting and monitoring of our forests. The Guyana Forestry Commission is governed by two legislations primarily: the Guyana Forestry Commission Act as well as the Forest Act. Under those two legislations, we are allowed to facilitate or to allow stakeholders to enter into joint venture or joint arrangements with each other for the harvesting and utilization of the resources of the forest. Under those legislations, it is also permissible for export to be carried out. The State Forest Exploratory Permit is one type of concession that the Guyana Forestry Commission issues. Under that type of concession, concessionaires are allowed to carry out a maximum of 25% of harvesting.
One thing to note here as it relates to compliance, these guiding documents outline the requirements that the different stakeholders need to follow, and if by chance there is any defaulters or any breach of any one of these requirements, the Forestry Commission do take serious action against those defaulters.
One of the key points made under the Code of Practice for timber harvesting speaks to the maximum allowable cut for the country, which allows for us to compute the maximum amount that can be harvested at a national level annually to ensure that the forest regenerates naturally. That level equates to 1.6 million cubic meters. Currently, as far as over a decade, including 2013 and currently in 2014, we are only at a fraction of that maximum sustainable level. In actual numbers, we are at about 30 to 40% of that total level of maximum sustained yield. I would make reference to the Minister of Finance's half-year summary released a few weeks ago, in which it was concluded that the forest sector has grown by 30% in export earnings. This, of course, bodes well for the sector because it allows for us to create employment opportunities and to also allow for small and mid-sized enterprise development to be fostered in many areas of our country. Guyana is engaged in a hallmark agreement with the Government of Guyana and the Kingdom of Norway. That bilateral agreement between the two governments allows for payments for ecosystem services in the form of forest carbon. Over the past 3 years, there has been compliance by Guyana with the compliance requirements of that bilateral agreement. In the area of forest management and harvesting of forest produce, there is also compliance with the requirements as set out in that bilateral agreement. In actual fact, the level of forest harvest that is stipulated as the benchmark for an annual period, Guyana has never exceeded that level. In 2013, Guyana has not exceeded that level, and from the looks of things in 2014, there is going to be general compliance as well with the stipulations of that bilateral agreement.
The claim that the Guyana Forestry Commission supports joint venture agreements as a means of circumventing the forest laws of Guyana is, of course, without any base. The Forest Act of Guyana provides 4 joint venture agreements, actually. It provides that so long as the individuals equally qualify, then they are allowed to enter into these arrangements, and there's a process, a legal process that has to be followed, and once that process is followed, then the joint venture agreement is approved. It is only approved after that process has been followed and the requirements therein have been met.
The claim that there is an increase in illegal logging in Guyana, and of course the illegal exportation of logs out of Guyana, that is false.
There is a claim that community operations as well as small and mid-sized enterprises are disadvantaged in Guyana's forest sector. This claim is false. In actual fact, in Guyana, we have close to 1.19 million acres of forests that have been allocated directly to community forestry associations. And currently we have 70 functioning community forestry organizations which support close to 3,000 persons directly employed.
The Guyana Forestry Commission remains committed to ensuring that our forest and its resources are being sustainably utilized, and we will continue our sustainable monitoring of that forest to ensure compliance with our laws. We also remain open to continue working with all of our stakeholders, both local and international. We also remain committed to continue implementing our very open and transparent processes, which allow for all stakeholders who have an interest in the forest to come forward, make the relevant applications to us. We go through those legal process and we award based on merit.
Check us out on the internet for this and every episode of Dorado Shines. Just go to YouTube, search for Dorado Shines and start watching. Or like us on Facebook and receive instant updates.
As every other income earner, persons engaged in gold and diamond mining must honor their tax obligations. Miners who employ operators, cooks, divers and other tributers, as they are commonly known, are required to deduct 10% of the 30% income tax from the earnings of tributers and remit same to the GRA. Tributers are required to pay the 20% balance of taxes to the GRA on or before April 30 of each year where applicable. For more information, call 227-6060 extensions 1200 to 1204.
To learn more about the new litter prevention regulations, visit the Ministry of Natural Resources and the Environment's website at www.nre.gov.gy and click on the link Pick It Up Guyana. You've been watching Dorado Shines. Do join us again next week for another program. Until then, do remember that we all have a role to play in protecting the environment.